ikan laksa. Berbicara dari Universitas Borneo Tarakan, pembacaan doa. Kelima, pembukaan rapat ke-6. Sambutan dan arahan Rektor Universitas Borneo Tarakan. Ketujuh, laporan dekan Fakultas Pertanian. 8. Pembacaan SK lulusan. 9. Pembacaan SK lulusan terbaik.
Good morning to all participants. Please don't forget to fill in the seminar attendance through the link that we already shared in the chat room. And we would like to inform you that we are now live on YouTube, so please make sure that you already mute your microphone. We also would like to remind you that at the end of this seminar, we will share the e-certificate link in the chat room, so please make sure to join us until the very end. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the seminar in a couple of minutes.
Selamat pagi.
The Honorable Minister of Environment and Forestry, the Honorable Rector of Universitas Borneo Tarakan, the Honorable Head of Research and Community Service Center, Universitas Borneo Tarakan, the Honorable Chairman of the Associations of Indonesian Professors, the Honorable Principal Advisor of GIZ, the Honorable Speakers, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Azlina, your host today. And on behalf of all the committee, we would like to thank you and wish you all in good health during this pandemic. Welcome to International Seminar, Status of Itchyofauna Biodiversity in the Kayan Delta Sembangkung, Nort Kalimantan, Indonesia. Tarakan, Indonesia, July 12, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, now we'll listen to the national anthem of Indonesia Raya and Universitas Borneo Tarakan hymn.
Sana
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our seminar today, let's pray together. And for Muslim participants, the prayer will be led by Mr. Saad Egra.
Ya, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Marilah bersama-sama kita bermunajat, menundukkan kepala seraya menegakkan tangan kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Zat yang memang pantas dimintai pertolongan akan saving dan yang muslim dipersilahkan untuk menyesuaikan dengan keyakinannya masing-masing. Mari kita awali dengan istighfar 3 kali. Astaghfirullahaladzim, astaghfirullahaladzim, astaghfirullahaladzim. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yu'afini yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu yang bihijikal karimi wa azimi sultan. Allahumma sholli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina. Ya Allah, ya Malik, ya Kudus, kami agungkan namamu karena hanya Engkaulah Tuhan kami. Hanya kepadamu lah kami bersujud, hanya kepadamu lah kami bersyukur, dan hanya kepadamu lah kami manjatkan doa. Ya Rahman, ya Rahim, hanya kepadamu kami menyembah, dan hanya kepadamu lah kami mempertolong. Ya Ghaffar, ya Qahar, kami mengampun lagi maha menundukkan segala sesuatu. Kami memohon ampunan kepadamu atas segala dosa yang kami perbuat, baik yang disengaja maupun yang tidak disengaja, baik yang terang-terangan maupun yang disembunyi-sembunyi. Ya Rabbana, hari ini kami berkumpul di sini dalam kegiatan seminar internasional yang berjudul Status of Itchyofauna Biodiversity in Delta Kayan Sembangkung, Nort, Kalimantan, Indonesia. Kami berdiskusi, mengurai pikir untuk memberikan sumbangsi terbaik bagi bangsa ini. Karenanya ya Allah, lancarkanlah acara kami, berkahilah, penuhilah pertemuan ini dengan kebaikan dari awal hingga akhir. Ya Allah yang maha mengetahui yang baik, bimbingilah kami dengan hidayah-Mu, berkahilah kami selalu dengan takdir-Mu, dan jadikanlah hati-hati kami selalu ridho atas dengan pemberian-Mu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Ya Allah, lapangkanlah dada kami dan lancarkanlah lidah kami dalam dan mudahkanlah urusan-urusan kami. Allahumma harinal haqqo haqqo warzuqna tinaba wa arinal batila batila warzuqna tinaba. Ya Allah, tunjukkanlah kepada kami bahwa yang benar adalah benar dan berikanlah kepada kami kekuatan, kemampuan untuk menjalankannya, serta tunjukkan bahwa yang salah adalah salah dan berikanlah kami kekuatan dan kemampuan untuk meninggalkan. Rabbana la tu'akhizna in nasina aw akhtana. Rabbana wa la tahmil alaina isran kama hamaltahu ala alladziina min qablina. Rabbana wa la tuhammilna ma la taqata lana bih wa'fu 'anna waghfir lana warhamna anta maulana fansurna 'alal qaumil kafirin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad. Subhanaka rabbi izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Saad Egra. And moving right along, it is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Tunggul Butar-Butar, the Principal Advisor of GIZ, to deliver his speech for our seminar today. For Mr. Tunggul Butar-Butar, time is yours.
Thank you very much, the organizer. Good morning, Bapak, Ibu, wherever you are right now sitting. I hope you are all getting in a good health. Let me just start, let's say, my welcome speech this morning. Honorable Minister of Ministry of Environmental and Forestry, or the representative, Honorable Rector of University of Borneo Tarakan, Professor Andri Patton, Chairman of Asosiasi Profesor Indonesia, Profesor Ari Purbayantro, Profesor Abdul Jabarsa, the Head of Lppm, Ibu Dr. Etwa Yuni, the committee of this series of webinar, all speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to speak and welcoming all of you to this very important webinar series of the biodiversity of Nort Kalimantan. We fully understand that despite of the long taxonomy research on various species in Kalimantan or in the region, we are facing the fact that there is a lack of scientific and reliable data of our terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem in North Kalimantan. We must admit that our data and information about the species and their status is relatively limited. We do not have an update status of what species exist in our area and what is their ecological condition or situation. At the same time, we have to admit that it is unfortunate that we face a very challenging habitat loss threats due to various unsustainable land use practices, land use change, fire, over extraction or over harvesting, infrastructure development, and so on and so forth. According to Budiarta et al., there are around 151 threatened species in different classification already in Kalimantan. So this could be a kind of something that we can also reflect to our situation in North Kalimantan. But still, there is no doubt that we are very rich in biodiversity and a lot more potential we still need to explore. Therefore, it is really a big honor for me to support our effort to further identify our rich biodiversity through not only through this series of the webinar, but also that we are currently doing several series of research together with Universitas Borneo Tarakan and Universitas Kaltara. But also, I would like at the same time to congratulate the initiative to establish the Biodiversity Center in the University of Borneo Tarakan. Today's webinar is the series of international conference series of biodiversity status update of North Kalimantan. In this first series of webinars, we will discuss the status of Itchyofauna biodiversity in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta wetland area. Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, Kayan Sembangkung Delta is an essential ecosystem for economic purposes and socio-cultural and environmental services to the society in the North Kalimantan. Kayan Sembangkung Delta is well known for not only the agriculture, the fisheries, and shrimp production. This area also offers a range of ecological services, include protection from floods and drought, biodiversity, and storage of carbon stock. And of course, there are a lot of other ecological functions. For those reasons and the fact that the area has been heavily open for the last decades for different, let's say, various economic activities, the North Kalimantan province government has said this region is a provincial strategic area or kawasan strategis provinsi as the way to ensure sustainable development in the area. We had a long discussion together with the University of Borneo Tarakan and Universitas Kaltara in Tanjung Selor, and we see biodiversity as a valuable resource in support of sustainable development. In addition, we see that aquatic biodiversity in wetland ecosystem contributes a lot, not only to the food security of the region, but also to the community livelihood. For this reason, GIZ provide and University of Tarakan and University of Borneo has been collaborating to document the aquatic biodiversity in coastal area and peat ecosystem. We conduct a series of surveys to record the status of the coastal zone and peat ecosystem biodiversity. It is a great honor to let you all know that the first series of survey results in the Delta Kayan Sembangkung area recorded around 136 fish species associated with mangroves, and 20 species of fish in peat ecosystem, 26 species of crustaceans, and 20 species of mollusks. It is also a great pleasure to find that some endemic species still exist, such as seluang fish, Nematabramis ferreting, and endemic species of Kalimantan, and also a betta fish, which is now very famous in the market. This extraordinary aquatic biodiversity requires integrated management and support from all parties to ensure ecological and economic function in the Delta Kayan Sembangkung. So it is an honor for us in GJ to participate in preserving our biodiversity through this series of webinars, studies, and publication. In particular, I wanted to congratulate UBT and Universitas Kaltara for the series of, and also Asosiasi Profesor Indonesia for the series of the webinar and the establishment of the Center for Biodiversity in University of Borneo. I wish you a very vibrant discussion for the next day, and we will have a chance to discuss necessary measures that we need to conserve the region's biodiversity. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I wish you have to have a very successful webinar. Good morning. Thank you very much. I give it back to the organizer.
Thank you, Mr. Tunggul Butar-Butar, for the meaningful speech. And ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Professor Ari Purbayanto, the chairman of the Association of Indonesian Professors, to deliver his speech this morning. For Professor Ari Purbayanto, time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Very good morning, good health and happiness to all of us. Honorable Professor Adri Paton, Rektor Universitas Borneo Tarakan, Mr. Tunggul Batubara, Principal Advisor GIZ, Profesor Abdul Jabar Shah, Rektor Universitas Kalimantan Utara. He is also head of the Natural Resources and Environmental Management Cluster, Indonesian Professor Association. Dr. Eti Wahyuni, Head of Research Institute and Community Services, Borneo Tarakan University. The speaker, representative of Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Republic of Indonesia, Professor Martin Zimmer, Universitas Bremen, Germany, Professor Sulistiono, IPB University, Professor Iwan Suyatna, Mula Warman University, Dr. Happy Iromo, Lecturer at Borneo Tarakan University, Mr. Rizky Febrian Naldi, MSE, Lecturer at Borneo Tarakan University, and all participants. On this good opportunity and still in the COVID-19 pandemic, we should express our praise and gratitude to the presence of the God, Almighty God, because only with His permission and gratitude we can attend this webinar. The international webinar on Update Biodiversity in Kalimantan, Series 1, Status of Itchyofauna Biodiversity in the Kayan Delta Sembangkung, Nort Kalimantan, Indonesia, is very important and relevant to the condition of Indonesia as a country with the largest biodiversity in the world. This biodiversity needs to be explored, managed, and used sustainably for the benefit of the Indonesian and global people. Through this international webinar, a lot of data and information on Indonesia's biodiversity will be disclosed, and there may even be new species finding that will be presented here. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable seminar participants, the Indonesian Professor or abbreviated as API is an independent and non-profit professional organization consisting of lecturer with the academic rank of professor, legally established in 2007 with the first general chairs led Professor Dr. J.B. Sumarlin from 2007 to 2012, and then Professor Dr. Sofian Effendi from 2013 till 2019, and led Professor Dr. Muhammad Yusra Masijaya, who only served 5 months, and then I continued the EPI leadership until 2024 later. The role and contribution of EPI as a nation thinker is expected to be able to contribute in the form of thoughts, action plan, and even real contribution in the field in participating in providing alternative solution to the nation problem. The potential of ideas and thoughts of the extraordinary professor in channels through 24 study cluster that have been formed by the EPI. This is, of course, related to the problem of biodiversity, the cluster of natural resources and environmental management, led by Professor Abdul Jabbar Shah from Calcutta University with Professor Eti Riani from IPB University, has a central role. Although, in fact, the problem of biodiversity can also be approached from various scientific point of view. Thus, the role of professors across disciplines is very important to contribute their thoughts in managing biodiversity in this country. This international webinar brings together academicians from related disciplines and various universities in Indonesia, as well as practitioners and environmentalists. Hopefully, it will run smoothly and successfully. Our great hope is to obtain strategic formulation and recommendation for the management and use of Indonesian biodiversity in a sustainable manner. Before ending this speech, I would like to thank the University of Borneo Tarakan and also GIZ for cooperating with EPI in organizing this activity. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Ari Purbayanto, for the remarkable speech. And ladies and gentlemen, our last opening speech will be delivered by Professor Dr. Adri Paton MSI, Rector of Universitas Borneo Tarakan, and officially opened our international seminar, Status of Itchyofauna Biodiversity in the Kayan Delta Sembangkung, Nort Kalimantan, Indonesia.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good
Waalaikumsalam.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Peace be upon you, and Allah mercy and blessing. Ladies and gentlemen, biodiversity refers to all living being on the planet, including plant, animal, and microorganism, as well as the genetic element they contain. According to data from the Indonesia Institute of Science, Lembaga Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, Indonesia has the world's second biggest terrestrial biodiversity wealth. Indonesia ranked top in the world when it comes to marine biodiversity. Unfortunately, Indonesia has yet to develop nation metric to track its biodiversity protection approach. A high level of biodiversity in a given area is thought to provide numerous advantages for the environment and human existence. Environmental, social, economic, and natural resources benefit are among them. Biodiversity is critical in supplying us with food, water, shelter, clean air, and medication. North Kalimantan biodiversity is currently understood and its importance has yet to be discovered. As a scientific community and research, Universitas Borneo Tarakan Research Center and Community Service (Lppm) play a role in conducting research to better understand North Kalimantan biodiversity. They conduct additional study to develop good that can be utilized for human welfare, natural health, and the development and implementation of more effective conservation that led to the long-term use of biodiversity. We are from Universitas Borneo Tarakan, North Kalimantan, in collaboration with GIZ, Profit, held an international seminar on the biodiversity series in North Kalimantan, with the theme Status of Itchyofauna Biodiversity in the Kayan Delta, Sembangkung, North Kalimantan, Indonesia, in response to the importance of biodiversity information in North Kalimantan. It is hoped that this conference will add to the value and standing of Indonesian Global Living Index of Biodiversity, particularly in North Kalimantan. By saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I officially open the international seminar, Status of Itchyofauna Biodiversity in the Kayan Delta, Sembangkung, North Kalimantan, Indonesia. That is all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you
Waalaikumsalam.
very much. I hope you enjoy. Bye.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Adri Paton, MSc. And ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is launching biodiversity books by the Research and Community Service Center, Universitas Borneo Tarakan. Thank you and congratulations for the Research and Community Service Center Universitas Borneo Tarakan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to stay tuned here with us because at the end of this seminar, we will share the e-certificate link in the chat room so you can receive the certificate through your email. Well, I believe that is the whole series of opening ceremony of our international seminar today. As for the main agenda, which is the presentation by all the 6 speakers, will be led by Dr. Woro Kusmaryani, SPD MPD, as our moderator today. Without further ado, to Dr. Woro Kusmaryani, time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our seminar is about to begin. Please have a nice seat. Thank you very much for preparing yourself to join our seminar. The Honorable Minister of Environment and Forestry, the Honorable Rector of Universitas Borneo Tarakan, the Honorable Head of Research and Community Service Center Lppm Universitas Borneo Tarakan, the Honorable Chairman of the Association of Indonesian Professors, the Honorable Principal Advisor GIS, the Honorable Speakers, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Woro Kusmaryani, the moderator of today's seminar. I am very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this seminar. Today's seminar is about status of Itchyofauna biodiversity in the Kayan Delta Sembangkung, Nort Kalimantan, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will have 6 speakers. Before the presentation begins, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. First, the speakers will be invited to present the material for 20 minutes. After all the speakers present their presentation, there will be question and answer session for 30 minutes. Now, allow me to welcome the first speaker, Mr. Wiratno MSc from Directorate General Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Let me read his CV. Mr. Wiratno MSc was born in Tulungagung, March 28, 1962. Education undergraduate from Gajah Mada University, magister degree from ITC Netherlands, and he is Director of Ministry of Environment and Forestry. He released several books, such as Reflecting on a Cracked Mirror, Reflection on Conservation and its Implication for National Park Management, co-written with Daru Indrio and Ahmad Sharif in 2001. Master Leadership in Conservation Organization, 2004. The Middle Way Solution, Nature Conservation Essays, 2011. TWA Routing Towards a Three-Pillar-Based Cooperation, 2013. From Illegal Loggers to Lobster Conservation, 2013. Kaleidoscope of Conservation Performance in 2013. Balai Besar KSDA NTT 2014. Developing East Nusa Tenggara Conservation Resort-Based Management Lesson 2012 until 2013. And today, our speaker will present his article about Indonesia biodiversity. Mr. Wiratno MSc, please present your article.
Thank you, Dr. Woro, as a moderator. First of all, I want to congratulate for the seminar, international seminar, yeah, in the North Kalimantan. This is Kayan Delta is one of the very important and rich biodiversity. Pak Rector, thank you very much for the invitation. Also, allow me to share my screen. Rupiah. Jadi total biaya adalah total biaya tetap. Thank you. Indonesia Biodiversity, this is the title of my presentation. I just remind all of us that Gandhi ever said that Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. This is always important quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah, that the greediness and one of the cause of the environmental degradation. And I quote the David Attenborough in the book of Live in Our Planet. He said that to restore stability to our planet, therefore we must restore its biodiversity. The very thing we have removed. So this is the cause of the biodiversity extinction is a human being, us. Yeah, it is the only way out of this crisis that we ourselves have created. So the mankind, the community, the people in this planet, they created the crisis of our own planet. He said then we must revive the world. This is also important quote from the David Attenborough. And now he is 90, if I'm not mistaken, 94 years old. Back to Indonesia. Indonesia, we know that our country is a micro diversity with all the, not only diversity, but also cultural diversity. Yeah. We can notice the more than 1,000 ethnic groups, more than 1,000 local languages, 28 to 50 ecosystem type across this country. Yeah, from marine up to the Lorraine National Park with the snow and the tropic, coastal line, and so on and so forth. So we are rich in almost all resources, natural resources. We have, I think we still hold diversity country, maybe right now it's number 3, but for marine we are number 1 in the richness and diversity on the marine. Yeah, 22.7 terrestrial conservation area, and almost 16 million hectare is a national park. And unfortunately, this is all the park. Here is Kayan Mentarang is in here. This is Petong Garihun. This is Tanjung Puting, and it is surrounded more than 6,700 villages. And also there are many traditional adat community in the park, in the state forest land, that we have to work with them. Yeah, this is all this conservation, and many of them has hold the global title like World Heritage, like Komodo Ujung Kulon is also World Heritage, Sumatra, Tropical Rainforest Heritage of Sumatra, Leuser, Kerinci, Bukit Barisan Selatan, for instance. Yeah. Also we hold biosphere reserve. There are many biosphere reserve. Until now is already 19 of the national park as the core zone of the biosphere reserve. We hold also the Ramsar site. Yeah, it's very important for the wetland and geopark. We believe that the future of Indonesia is depend on how can we manage our biodiversity and its ecosystem wisely. There are many values on the biological and cultural diversity, from intrinsic value, ecological values is very important, genetic right now, also social and cultural, and even spiritual values. Economic values of the protected areas is only one of the values. The whole values that we have to hold and manage properly. Aesthetic value for recreational purposes, and of course, educational and scientific values. This is the values that we have to be very careful in managing the protected areas in Indonesia, including in Kalimantan. There are 5 principal conservation area management that I propose. First is the regulation base. We work managing protected areas based on the regulation. If there is a new approach, innovation, and then we have to put it regulation as an umbrella. The second one is scientific base. Yeah, without science and technology, I think it is we can only protect and without any reason and without what would be the benefit for the human being, or at least for the local community. Evidence-based is this is very important, where the local wisdom, traditional wisdom of the local community, also we consider them as part of the how we manage the protected areas. Experience-based is also held by the local community, a traditional community, and with their customary wisdom and knowledge system. This is very important. In managing protected areas, we have to put the precautionary principle. We have to be very careful in managing the protected areas, the forest, the natural capital, because we really don't know exactly what is the benefit that we can get, because our knowledge is still very limited. This is the 10 principle new approach when I was appointed as a DG, and I gave guidance to my staff that there are at least 10 new principle, 10 new wish. First, I put community as a subject, because more than 9 million inhabitant community living near the protected areas, near the park. And the second is we have to respect the human right. Yeah, in managing protected areas, we have to respect the human right perspective. We have to work in collaboration with Echelon 1 and the Ministry of Forestry, Environment and Forestry. We have to cooperate with across the minister and regional government at the province and kabupaten. We also respect culture and customary values. This is very important in Indonesia, and I think across the globe. And I propose the multi-level leadership. Yeah, the leadership capacity from Jakarta to province to district to until village and until site level have to be very strong and consistent. Decision making have to be based on the science. So this is the role of university and expert and practitioner at the university, like in Borneo University. Their role is very, very important, and they have to work. We have to work with them. Resource-based management, working at the field level, reward and mentorship, giving a reward to my staff, to the local champion, and I propose that we have to learn as an organization. We have to learn from our mistake, not doing the same mistake in the future. This is the principle. There is new phenomena of citizen science. This is the Atlas Burung Indonesia. I can send you also this publication for the library here, and also whoever won it, yeah. And the contribution is almost 1,000 contributor. and they are linked to the system, what we call it Burungnesia by Swiss Finacis. This is already published. I also propose what I call it pentahelix collaboration. Very important to work between government, community, academia, business sector, and media, and the scope and control and facilitated by all the leader from the central to the local. This is a strategy of in situ and ex situ. Yeah, breeding, penangkaran, and all this ex situ proposed like Enjala Bali, Bali Mina is very successful, and we re-release and them to the in situ to the national park. This is the example of the important that link in the balances between ex situ conservation and in situ conservation. This is the based on the ministerial degree that the criteria of the protected species and almost 904 species under protection. The list of 20 protected species, for instance, this is also new. It is important to be noticed, and I think we need input from university on the future listing of the protected species. Yeah. It's all we have two right now. The new is CITES under Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and the second is CITES for fishes, yeah, ikan bersirip, for Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. This is the new body in the CITES, yeah. In working with in protecting wildlife and all this ecosystem, we have to work put the win-win solution. Yeah. Community in collaboration with community on sustainable use of biodiversity. Community can get the legal basis for biodiversity utilization, and economic contribution to the local community is very important. Yeah, I think thank you very much. This is the call center, and I can send electronic book and to give the contribution to this university, and whoever want to have the books, my book and our books in our library in Jakarta. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mbak Woro, Dr. Woro.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wiratna MSc, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, move on to the next speaker. I would like to invite Professor Dr. Insinyur Sulistiono MSc to deliver his presentation, and let me read his CV. Professor Dr. Insinyur Sulistiono MSc was born in Surabaya, 12 March 1963. He is from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, Bogor Agricultural University. Education undergraduate from Faculty of Fisheries, Bogor Agricultural University. MSc from Tokyo University of Fisheries and doctoral degree from Tokyo University of Fisheries. His latest research was Aquatic Ecological Assessment of Banten Bay, 2019 and 2020. His latest publication was about the evaluation of free fisheries management in the Spelman Strait coastal waters of Central Buton Regency, Indonesia. Land Archives 22. He released several books, and the latest were about fish physiology and ichthyology. Today, he will present the article entitled Status of Estuarine Fish Diversity and its Management in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta area, East Kalimantan. Professor Dr. Insinyur Sulistiono MSc, please present your article.
Thank you for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Apa slide saya kelihatan?
Yes.
Oke. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Our title is Status of Estuarine Fish Diversity and its Management in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta Area, North Kalimantan, by me, Sulistiono, and support by some colleague or friend, Mr. Thomas, Pak Iwan, and Pak Asbar Laga. Okay, so North Kalimantan, with its capital in Tanjung Selor, is the 34th youngest Indonesia, as a manifestation of the division of the East Kalimantan province. This province is located in the northern part of the island of Borneo, directly adjacent to the state of Sabah and Sarawak. And geographically, North Kalimantan is a strategic area located between Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. And in this region, there are a number of potential of natural resources, one of which is fisheries resources that have not been used optimally. The Kayan Sembangkung Delta region is one of the aquatic ecosystem in the North Kalimantan province. It's an area that has a fairly high of natural resources in Indonesia. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So there are some studies of and information of the Delta Kayan Sembangkung, especially related to the fisheries, from bioecological aspect until strategies for improving the marine and fisheries economy. And the purpose of this paper is to present information related to the various species of fish diversity and the status, and also to provide alternative management effort, as well as especially in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kayan Sembangkung Delta is a coastal area in North Kalimantan province, which include land, estuaries, and also the sea in front of the land. And there are mangrove ecosystem in that area. Also, we can find in that area aquaculture, rice field, plantation, and also settlement in Bulungan and Tanah Tidung and Nunukan regencies. But we can find urban and industrial area in Tarakan city. But in this paper, we discuss and focus on the delta ecosystem, especially in estuarine ecosystem. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can find the delta aquatic ecosystem is presented in table 1. This is the several physical and chemical aquatic parameter of the Kayan Sembangkung Delta and other estuaries areas in Indonesia, including temperature, depth, transparency, turbidity, PSS, and also pH, salinity, dissolved oxygen, and also the heavy metal. Number 1, with yellow mark, of course, it is the reference from Tanah Tidung, and also Sembangkung River, and Buaya River, and Sembangkung River. This data collected from some researcher who wrote of the report and published in the journal. Of course, the result of observation of the water quality usually are suitable for aquatic organisms. And this is the aquatic condition of the delta Kayan Sembangkung, consisted of pH, salinity, and so on, and also heavy metal. This data is our data some years ago in Nort, Kalimantan province. Okay, we can continue to our presentation about the diversity and status of estuarine fish species. Species diversity. Several observations of fish in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta and other river estuaries in Indonesia, they have been carried out by several researchers. And it is presented in table 2. And as we know, that there are about 48 species in the estuary of Kayan Sembangkung. While in other species we can find 13 until 71 species. Depend on the sampling technique, sampling time, sampling duration, methodology, and also technology, how to identify the fish species. But according to the data, almost of the fishes we can find classified as the order of Percomorphi, and this order is the largest order in the world of the fish. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there are some research conducted by several researchers, including Pak Dr. Salim and Mr. Alfian. They found about 27 species near in Tanah Tidung area. And according to Mr. Rusli, there are several species, but not more than 30 species found in Tarakan market. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we continue to define species found in the coastal in the Kayan and Sembangkung River. According to researchers, there are gold spot, grenadier anchovy, pomfret, ponyfish, yellow striped shad, and also the last one is Indo-Pacific king mackerel. This is the resume of the species found in estuary of Delta Kayan Sembangkung. We present in number 1, and we can find the similar species in the estuary. For example, in south of Java, number 2 and number 3, north of Java, and also in other estuary in Kalimantan and estuary and Sumatra. This is some species that we found in the estuary of Kayan Sembangkung. So we can find, but we present, but all of the fish species found in the estuary is around 230 species. This is a high number of species found in estuary. But we can find that, but in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta, the species of around less than 50 species. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, So the number of species found is quite varied depending on the equipment used. From the data, it can also be conveyed a description of, and also we can find other species not only in estuary, so we can find the species in the coastal area and also in the river. So, ladies and gentlemen, we continue to present the status of the species in the IUCN. So we can find that all of the species found in the estuary categorized in less concern or low risk and also not evaluated and also data deficient, but very little in number. The species categorized in near threatened. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to show that there are 4 species categorized in the near threatened: Harpodon niherius, Protonibia diacanthus, Hippotalamus 7, and Scombromerus homerseni. 4 species are categorized and near threatened species. Okay, we continue to present fish population condition and delta Sembangkung. So this data, according to the some researcher, and also we find of the statistic data of fisheries and marine affairs official. And capture fisheries in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta area have a fairly large production. The result of the research conducted by Rustandi on Bunyu Island state that the PCT around the island was 297 and 100 to 1,268. So this data is a very good information for us because we can find some references about the status of population of fish found in Delta, Kayan, and Sembangkung. According to statistical data of fisheries and marine affairs official, so we can find here in figure 4, in general, marine capture fisheries production from 2013 until 2019 show an increase of 30%. So we can find here, but maybe we can find the production of fish in Bulungan and Tarakan, but it seems decrease in the other area. Maybe we can find in Tanah Tidung and Nunukan. So we can state that this production of Kalimantan, North Kalimantan, maybe can be increased, but we can more survey or monitor the population in Tanah Tidung area and Nunukan area. Maybe this population seems decreased or almost fishermen cannot catch the fish in that area. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can find through the data, especially from Nunukan regencies. So, based on the development of the cat cost production from 2013 until 2019. This situation also shows that the condition of fisheries resources production in Tarakan and Bulungan can still be catch further or production can still be increased. And however, this condition needs further research with better method by using biosonic. Research related to resources in this area is important to be carried out immediately as a basis data for sustainable fisheries management. Okay, we can continue to priority of fish commodity. In this study, the criteria for priority commodities are commodities that are sufficiently available, have economic value, and relatively high competitiveness compared to similar commodities in other region. So according to the scoring, we can see some species consisted of mackerel, giant sea catfish, anchovies, black pomfret, and white pomfrets are priority fish commodity in this area. So we can continue to source of nutrition, taurine, and aphrodisiac. Ladies and gentlemen, this subtopic is very interesting for us because some ingredient or some material of the fish is very important for us, especially for adult people. Some food are believed to have aphrodisiac effect. Of course, we can find almost seafood can act as an aphrodisiac, such as salmon and herring. And ladies and gentlemen, we can find also Clupeidae that is similar family of the herring. Those fishes can be found in the estuarine area. We found also pufferfish. The pufferfish is considered and is believed to be aphrodisiac. The Japanese society must cultivate to be an cultivate with the correct technique so that does not become poison. And also we can find anchovy is also one of the species and believed to have an aphrodisiac effect. So according to the content of taurine, some species of coastal fish or estuarine fish also contain high level of taurine, such as elongatus mudskipper, mallet, and catfish. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a table of some coastal fishes that contain quite high taurine. So we can find here, if we compare whiting, mallet, and elongatus skipper or mudskipper, and also catfish, we can find the highest value of taurine can be found in mudskipper. So ladies and gentlemen, this is good information for us. So we can eat mudskipper in a large number for our strong. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we can continue the next slide. Domestication and aquaculture development. It is very important to develop aquaculture in the context of domesticating of the estuarine fish. We find some species that is a candidate for aquaculture. For example, rabbitfish, barramundi, grouper, mallet, whiting, pomfret, tanggobi, mudskipper, canine catfish eel, and also spot sea catfish. The potential is based on a large enough market and sufficient shift larvae, so we can take it during a few days after the spawning season, and also availability of fresh fish which is increasing need, and good nutritional value, as well as several type of fish which are estimated to contain bioactive ingredient and useful for public health. So we continue to next step. Ecosystem fish resources management effort. So, gentlemen, we can find that there are many problems in coastal ecosystem or in estuarine ecosystem. For example, physical damage to the habitat of the Kayan Sembangkung Delta coastal area. In this subsection, we can find mangrove damage in the delta. Is generally caused by destructive fishing activity. For example, fish farming for brackish water aquaculture that does not have attention to conservation aspect. And the use of mangrove wood as food, uncontrolled houses, building and sedimentation to the erosion from the land in upper area. And also we can find some fish production decrease. So according to the data, some fish catch in the Tanah Tidu and also in Nunukan seem decrease in production. But in Tarakan, we can find the production increase. The third problem is pollution. But in this subsection, we cannot find, but the estuary of Kayan in Sembangkung is still available for aquatic organism. But other estuaries in other area, for example in Java, some areas are in not good water quality. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can find also, but about the management strategy. What is the management strategy to make better management in delta of Kayan Sembangkung? Maybe we can improve the upland area. For example, effort that can be made to reduce the impact of damage to the aquatic ecosystem of the estuary by rearrange the upper area management system. So if the development of topland must take into account and consider the existing land use in coastal area. So this is very important because in the estuary, we use those ecosystems as fishing ground of the fish in that area. So how to manage strategy for the ecosystem? We can optimize utilization of aquatic resource. And also we can protect the mangrove ecosystem as a conservation area. Also, we can continue to other slides. The role of stakeholders. We use pentahelic model. The pentahelic model is interpreted as a concept of strict and sustainable collaboration from each task force in the framework of the success of a program or policy that relies on real contribution and active involvement of elements. In pentahelic model consists of government, entities, private sector, academician, community, and media. So, in academician can play a role in providing views and analysis based on the objectivity of data in the field regarding to the level of development and also the right formula to advance the management of the Kayan Sembangkung Delta through various research, analysis, and human resource development. How about the industry? Industrial cooperation in the fisheries sector and also universities will bring the function and orientation of university closer to the need and problem of consumer of fisheries and marine industry product and services. And how to do about the government? We need that the government role in the management of Kayan Sembangkung Delta and is expected to be able to provide convenient in managing the delta through policies that can be implemented and able to support all stakeholders in the fisheries and marine sector. How to do about the community? Maybe the management of coastal areas should ideally also involve the community because the people living around the coast are still very dependent on the benefit of the coastal area. And the last one is media. Technology and information in the era of globalization have now developed in such a way. One of it is the use of the internet, which facilitates various human needs. Okay, that is the pentahelic theory. So how about the role of the institution, and also we can present about 5 pillars as the basis of estuary fisheries management. So according to the data and information we collected in previous statement, we can find 5 pillars as the basis of estuary fisheries management. One is we can develop small medium scale fisheries. So we can develop small medium scale fisheries on the delta of Kayan Sembangkung. And the second, development based on the ecosystem as biological approach and ecological approach. In this section, we can manage the delta using biological and ecological approach.
Excuse me, Prof. I still have 2 more minutes.
Okay. The third, resource evaluation. Fourth, development of fishermen economic and domestication of aquaculture. This is the conclusion of our presentation. Various activities in the Kayan Sembangkung Delta area, which include agriculture, plantation, settlement, and industry that not have attention to conservation aspect, can be the cause of declining resources and fishery sustainability. Condition of aquatic ecosystem varied but still quite stable, suitable for the life of aquatic biota. Based on IUCN species status, fish in the Kayan estuaries consist of LC, NETT, and T. Of the various of estuarine fish diversity, 51, there are fisheries commodity in high economic value. For example, duck, snapper, croaker, and so on. Oh, the last one, we can, and it is necessary to make effort to manage the delta area integratively, which includes structuring the delta area as a whole by involving various elements, including academicians, private sector, government, community, and media. And 5 pillars as the basis for estuary fisheries management. Small, medium scale, development based on ecosystem, resource evaluation, development for fishermen economic and strengthen of institution, domestication, and aquaculture development. The last one, we recommended that the development of the Kayan Sembangkung Delta requires more in-depth and comprehensively study involving various sectors. One that is quite basic is the study of aquatic ecology and biology, fish resources potential by using a better method, combined with data capturing obtained from fishermen. In addition, it is important to make it a conservation tourism area or integrated conservation area so that it becomes a source of larvae for fisheries in the delta area. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Insinyur Sulistiono MSc, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, for the third speaker, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Insinyur Haji Iwan Suyatna MSc DEA deliver his presentation. Let me read his CV. Professor Dr. Insinyur Haji Iwan Suyatna MSc DEA was born in Bogor, 13 August 1957, and is from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine, Universitas Borneo Tarakan. Education, undergraduate from ULM, Magister from University of the Philippines, DA from University de Bretagne Occidental Brest France, doctoral degree from Universitas Borneo Tarakan, and latest graduate degree from Bogor Agriculture Institute. His latest publication was Heavy Metals Contents and Histopathological Analysis of Some Organs of Fish obtained from Payau River Anggana, Kutai Kertanegara, Indonesia. And he released book entitled Space and Time of Mahakam Delta, List of Fish in Indonesia. Today, he will present the article about fish species of the present study in the Middle Mahakam Kutai Kertanegara District, East Kalimantan Province, Indonesia. Professor Dr. Insinyur Haji Iwan Suyatna MSc DEA, please present your article.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to share my presentation first. Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. the Honorable Minister for the Environment and Forestry, our representative, the Honorable President of Borneo University, Prof. Ade Paton, the Honorable the Association Professor, Prof. Hari Purbayanto, the Principal Advisor, Tunggul Butar, the Honorable Head of Institute Research and Community Service UBT, Dr. Eti Wahyuni, and dear all keynote speaker, Madam Monsieur. Let me start to present our work on fish species in the Mahakam Delta, in the Middle Mahakam. This work was realized in cooperation between GIZ and Faculty of Research and Marine Science, University of Malabarman. I'm sorry I forgot to say hello, my brother, Professor Jabarsa. Okay. In North Kalimantan, there is many big rivers such as Sembangkung River, and in East Kalimantan we have Mahakam River. Since a long time ago, this river served as transportation and daily need for local people. But now we know that it becomes crowded and complicated. Why? Because, can you hear my voice?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, I will continue. Because this river now accommodates such as mining transportation, oil palm transportation, and other material transportation. So consequently, that there is a large amount of coal spills and other materials into the river, causing water becomes more turbid and river becomes more shallow. I cited here in the introduction some studies reported by several researchers that in 1980s, an increase of sedimentation has already taken. And then other studies say that the concentration of a number of heavy metals are already extremely above the limit. So we can say that this may affect aquatic life, especially in river and its floodplains area. So I want to say also that in 1980s to 1987, like you see in my introduction, that Christensen at the time was able to identify 147 species, indigenous species in the Middle Mahakam and its floodplain. And then 4 years later, the similar work done by Kotelat in 1991, he was able just to recover 82 fish species. And this indicates that many surveys are needed to provide basic data. And hopefully that this data will be easy to find, for example, in the publication. And back to our study, aim at knowing fish species in the Middle Mahakam and its plants area, floodplains area. Now we are in materials and method that our study was carried out in December 2020 to February 2021. Fish collection was done by using various traditional gears, and then we took also 18 water samples to describe water condition in the study location. And the most important that I have to say, we use also CPOA, or catch per unit effort, to determine or to count fish number caused by the gears. Now, result and discussion. I show you one map here. This map shows the distribution of the sampling or measuring sites. Black circle is for water sample, and then red circle is for fish collection. And the sampling site is distributed in lake and stream or river. I would like to give you a little bit of information about from this map. If you see in my left, Englam River, and then on my left you see Siran River. I hope you see that. These two rivers are black water rivers. It means that they are located in peatland. So we have also fish species from this area. Okay, I will continue. This is the fishing gear we use. We have ancho. Ancho means that leaf net. And then sawaran is trap net. Renge is geo net. Rawai harwan, maybe I can say polen line. And then pengilar, bubu, luka, tokong, etc. This belongs to fish pots. Okay, I think you all are familiar with these shears, I hope. Now I have to say that in our study, we were successful to identify 50 fish species from 7,377 fish or individual obtained from two locations. Location means lakes and stream. If I say stream, similarly with river, because in Indonesia, stream, river, let's say the same. And then, as you know here, that among the families, Cyprinidae was the most populated species and also populated, followed by Bagridae and then Canidae, Claridae, Siluridae, and so on. Now, in table one, yes, in table one listed fish species obtained from lake, only from lake, Semayang and Melintang. Here we have 30 species. Yeah, we have 30 species. Among others, 50% of 30 species belong to family Cyprinidae. As I said, the Cyprinidae was the most species. And others, 15 species, belongs to 13 families. So I can say again that Cyprinidae dominate other families. Table 2, similar, that listed fish species that we identify from river, lotic water. Yeah. Before I say a lake is lentic water. Here in table 2, 14 of 30 species, just 14 of 35 species belong to family Cyprinidae. The rest 21 species belong to 12 families. Okay, I continue. 32 of 50 fish species we identify. Hello? Moderator, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
clearly.
because my internet here unstable, so I have to ask you first, okay? Okay,
Yeah, okay.
I continue. Thank you very much. I think if you see this fish, I'm sure that you all are familiar with this fish, because every day I think you eat fish from freshwater fish, right? Okay, I continue. Now, I present table 3. From table 3, the most important to me is that table what? Table 3. Table 3, wait. The most important from table 3 is that the Margalef index value show that river or stream has high fish richness, even higher than lakes. So you can now differ species from lake and species from stream in Middle Mahakam, because I want to say also to give you information that in Middle Mahakam we have wide of floodplains area, and many fish, many species live there. So this is a little work we did to prove that a stream or river has so a lot of species. Okay. Okay. Now we come to table what? Because it is covered here in my monitor. Table 4, yeah. Okay. Table 4, concerning the mean catch per unit effort. From the table, among other, we have column for type of year. We have here year Anjo, Sawaran, Pengilar, Tempirai, Rengge, Luka, Rawai, Tokong. The other column, we have a column for number of fish here, individual or fish per hour. So now I can say that Anjo can harvest 945.8 individual or fish per hour. You can imagine that. 945.8 per hour. Okay, and then Sawaran can harvest fish 287.7. Others year can harvest only 0.4 to 25.3. What does it mean this? To me, for sustainable fisheries, Anjo and Sawaran should be evaluated seriously. Okay, that's the point, I think. Now, this table 5 only want to show that in lake, water flows quickly, while in river, water flows much faster. Measured water velocity in lake from not detected to 0.3, while in the rivers measured water velocity it ranges from 0.3 to 0.69 meter per second. Okay, I continue. Now, in my presentation, I have 13 figures like this. if I present one by one, it will take too long. So I will not present this table, but I will summarize to save a time, okay? Okay. For the water quality, globally, guideline indicating concentration of physicochemical parameters and levels of heavy metals refers to the regulation of local government of East Kalimantan number 2 year to 2011 class 2. Okay, now I will start to summarize all parameters that we investigated or we analyzed. I just read here. Water temperature, pH, phosphate, nitrate, ammonia, biological oxygen demand were within the tolerable limit for all sampling site. Dissolved oxygen and total suspended solid, or TSS, were within the acceptable limit for most sampling site. And then color and water and chemical oxygen demand were above the limit for most sampling site. Hydrogen sulfide exceeded the limit for all sampling sites. Last 16 different heavy metals investigated, 13 were not detected, while the others had the concentration extremely above the limit, such as iron. Now I proceed to the conclusion. This paper can you have it, and you can ask the moderator maybe, yeah. Okay.
We still have 2 minutes.
How many?
2
Okay.
minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. 2 minutes is long for me. Okay. Conclusion 1. The present study recovered 50 species or 34% of 147 species which were identified by Christensen 1992 or 29 years ago. So 29 years ago, someone can identify 147. But we, us, now, we are able just to recognize 50 species, but it depends. As Prof. Sulistiono said, that it depends on duration, methods, and etc. Okay, so we cannot compare this. Second, the fish species found in peatland, stream or river and swamp or black water, they also were found in lake. 3. 2 species recognized in the study, Macrocyrus and Bagarius yarali, have been listed in the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, published alone in 2019 and 2020. So what else? Okay, I think that's it. And moderator, I thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Haji, Insinyur Haji Iwan Suyatna, MSc DA, for giving us such an informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next presentation, I would like to invite Dr. Happy Iromo, SPIMSI, to deliver his presentation. But before we listen to his presentation, let me read his CV. Dr. Happy Iromo, SPIMSI, was born in Tarakan, 9 April 1975. He is from Faculty of Fisheries Education, undergraduate from University of Diponegoro, Semarang. Magister and Doctor degree from Bogor Agriculture Institute. He is Director of Science Technopark Kaltara, and his latest research was utilization of trash fish for cultivation of crablet mud crab, Scylla serrata. And today he will present his article about identification aquatic biota of mangrove association in North Kalimantan. Well, Dr. Happy Romo, SPMS, I please present your article.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The Honorable Ministry of Environment and Forestry, the Honorable Rector of University Borneo Tarakan, the Honorable Hello.
Yes. Pak Dr. Happy, you can continue.
Hello.
We can hear you clearly, Pak.
Okay. The Honorable Head Research and Community Service Center, the Honorable Chairman of Association of Indonesian Professor, the Honorable Principal Advisor, DIZ, and the Honorable Speaker and all participants. I would like to say thank you for your coming to my presentation. It's great to see you all. Okay, let me introduce myself and my team research. I am Happy Romo and my partner are Abdul Jabbar Shah, Dori Rahmawani, Ajis, Ricky, Febriandi, Simanjuntak. We are from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, University of Borneo Tarakan. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in this presentation, we will discuss about the identification aquatic biota and mangrove association in North Kalimantan. The first, I will explain about Kalimantan Island. Kalimantan is one of the largest islands in Indonesia. Kalimantan has lake area around 730,000 kilometers. There are 3 districts and Kalimantan has 5 provinces, and this ocean we will discuss about the one province, namely is North Kalimantan. North Kalimantan have large area around 75,467 kilometers. North Kalimantan have 4 districts and 1 city, but geographically not all of them have a coastline. There are 3 districts and 1 city that have coastline but different routes. The coastline, the Kaltara region, that's this slide. The first district Bulungan or Kabupaten Bulungan is very large than the other, around 2,056 kilometers, and the small is Kota Tarakan, have around 102 kilometers. In the one of the district, namely Nunukan, it is directly adjacent to Malaysia, but total island in North Kalimantan have 162 islands. This is an illustration of potential is North Kalimantan, where all the waste products are sourced from raw material. We have fish from catching fisheries, we have seaweed, tiger shrimp, and mud crab. Fish and crab are sold from Malaysia, while shrimp and seaweed are sold to Jakarta and Sulawesi. The potential of mangrove ecosystem, the existence of the mangrove ecosystem has an important area, and the other ecosystem in the location. The function of mangrove, in addition to functional directly raw material, wood raw material, mangrove also support the life of several types of biota such as fish, crab, birds, shellfish, and the other. Look at the map, the table of the pond of each area. You can see that the area of the pond is according with the rest of the coastland region. Kaltara has ecological mangrove are the extent from the Kayan Delta and Bulungan Regency to Sembangkung in Nunukan Regency. According area research, 442,725 hectares. And this is the growth of traditional pond. That we see in 1990, the area ponds is not Kalimantan was 13,830 hectares. In 2000, it's become 74,110 hectares. And 2019, with total area of 129,018 hectares. This means there is an increased pond up to until 400%, which come from the conversion of mangrove forests. Let's look at the table of the pond each area. It can be seen that the area of the pond is according with the length of the coastline in each region. Bulungan, which have the longest coastline, has a larger pond area than the other area. But total of all the ponds is 129,000 hectares. This is information the potential of traditional pond in North Kalimantan. Traditional ponds are still in a mangrove ecosystem. So you can see that from traditional pond, its product, such as tiger shrimp, milkfish, and mud crab. Mangrove ecosystem in Kaltara, the chain function of mangrove to pond traditional are not environmentally friendly. The ponds that the managed in self-fishery and environmentally friendly manner is only to help persons. This condition marking 41% of the mangrove ecosystem area are currently or heavily damaged condition. The clearing of the pond are not environmentally friendly has become problem for the farmer. It's not from the economic value, the productivity of same or traditional pond are to be decreased. That is less than 10 kilometers per hectare per year. This is our aquatic biota. Mangrove association fish was carried out the estuary around Nunukan Island. This method, mangrove association fish was carried out in estuary around Nunukan Island, Sembangkung Island, Borneo Island, Mangkopadi, Tarakan, and Kayan River estuary water. Sampling at location was carried out in coastal water and the mangrove forest area. This is a condition of the fishing gear that are often used. And this is a sampling location from Nunukan to Bulungan water. You can see the map. That's the right is the location sampling. And this is a fishing gear model. Mangrove Association, the catch fishermen are quite different from the types of organisms that have economic value and those who no value. This means sometimes fish have high economic value and sometimes no value. Cats that have economic value and certain type are directly sourced out the area, while that the are not economic value are partial consumed and processed before being marketed, like salted fish and dried shrimp. Marketing of fishermen catch is distributed to domestic and foreign countries such as Tarakan City, Balikpapan City, Jakarta, and Tawau, Malaysia. This is Biodiversity of Mangrove Association. This is the result from our research. There are 53 families of fish and 101 species of fish. There are 14 families of crustacean and 28 species of crustacean. There are 11 families of gastropod and 40 species of gastropod. Recent fishing in the mangrove area around Kaltara water, only a few species of fish and fish species are found, and the most commonly found were found the Karangidae, Luincanidae, and Pulipidae families. Fish species from 3 families we are found the all sampling location in large number. Most of the fish ponds we are commercial fish with high economic value. All types pomfret that are commonly found as well in Indonesia water are also found in this place. This is a Fish Mangrove Association. This is some of type family and species that exist in Kalimantan. The amount is not too much. Ada ikan hiu in Indonesia, pari and sidat, not small in Kalimantan, not Kalimantan, like the shark, ikan hiu. Because only measuring 35 until 45 centimeters is small. Hiu kecil, shark, small shark, and stigler, is ikan pari, Indonesia name, is only measure 40 and 45 centimeter. This is specialist small fish we catch in North Kalimantan. This is a family Luincanidae, a fish that has a high selling value. And this fish is mostly sold to Malaysia from Tawau. This is our export commodity because this is a nice fish and have economic value. This is Familia Latidae and family Singanidae. This is a fish have we can catch many catch with the traditional pond, and the fish that often feed seaweeds. His name is Indonesia name is kakap putih, Latus carcarifer. Many in pond traditional and gandronang, siganus. His fish only eats seaweeds in Tarakan. This is family Apoginaceae. This is a pelagic fish. What size? Very small fish, yeah, about 5 until 10 centimeters. It's not economic fish, but it often caught in fishermen catch. We know that is family Aridae. It's not economy. This is for fish. This is a family Karangidae from Association Mangrove Zoo. This is a large number of people fish because people in North Kalimantan like this fish. Because this fish is have a price is affordable, harganya murah. This is a family Canidae is from mouse fish. Indonesia name is ikan bandeng, Canos porskau. This fish are marks or not Kalimantan and is a people fish at affordable price and especially fish meal fish and other fish. Family Synodontidae. This is a special. This lab is collection unique fish that are not found in all water in Indonesia, such as nome fish or papija, Indonesia ikan tipis, and copsting atau sumpit. This is fish name is sumpit. Maybe because fish have a habit of shooting water to insect for their eat. This is explain about nome fish. Ladies and gentlemen, this is species diversity of crustacea. We have a lot of crustacea in Association of Mangrove, not mangrove, and not Association Mangrove, not Kalimantan. Yes.
Dr. Happy, you still
Yeah.
have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Mud crab is one of the potential commodity that are widely found in Kalimantan mangrove ecosystem. The mud crab is especially commodity that is important economic value. The high demand for crab has led to higher crab catching in the world. Its exercise is currently is worrying condition due to the massive afforestation ranging from small size to major bonus. This is some of the mangrove crab cultivation activity that exists and can be developed in North Kalimantan. But all of those activities still export seed from nature, causing high crab catching in the mangrove ecosystem. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Happy Romo, SPMSI, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we still have 2 more speakers, yeah. And for the 5th speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Ricky Febrinaldi Simanjuntak, SPD MSI, to deliver his presentation. And let me read his CV first. Mr. Ricky Febrinaldi Simanjuntak, SPD MSI, was born in Tarakan 4 February 1988, and he is from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, Universitas Borneo Tarakan. Education undergraduate from Universitas Borneo Tarakan and magister degree from Bandung Institute of Technology. His latest publication was Assessment of Fish Biodiversity and Ecology of North Kalimantan Pit Hydrological Units GIS Profit Project 2021 and field coordinator. Today we will listen to his presentation about fish biodiversity, current status of Itchyofauna in pit hydrological units of North Kalimantan. And Mr. Ricky Febrinaldi Simanjuntak, SPD MSI, please present your article.
Okay, thank you so much for my PPT. Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
The Honorable Minister of Environment and Forestry, the Honorable A.P. Kayan, and the Honorable Mr. Doctor from IIZ, the Honorable Rector of Universitas Borneo Tarakan, Professor Dr. Adi Pakun, the Honorable Chief of Lppm Universitas Borneo Tarakan, Mr. The Honorable Professor of Biodiversity, and the Honorable our participants. Thanks for this time. It's so very excited to meet with Professor and the other presenters here. Today, I will share information about Itchyofauna, especially about the current status of Itchyofauna in two physical units of Nort, Kalimantan. Okay, if you're looking for the distribution of global special business, the sort of this in Indonesia, the one largest in the world, if we compare the region, and it's very, very interesting when it's based 2014, so the data, Indonesia has estimated 1,207 species, 1,207 species. And if we compare another research by in 2017, so 1,193 species and 1,020 are the endemic species. I think Indonesia has a lot of endemic species and endemic species. That's why Indonesia is a mega biodiversity unique species. Okay, so the question is, where is Kayan Sembangkung Delta? Does anybody know where the delta? So, if you look into the map, Kayan Sembangkung Delta is geographically located in the west of the south of Malaysia, north of the district in Kalimantan, and absolutely in the border of the North Kalimantan, Indonesia. Kayan Sembangkung Delta is strategic area. Does anyone know why Kayan Sembangkung Delta is strategic? Yeah, Kayan Sembangkung Delta has been a major economic growth center in Kalimantan since before independence era. And now, during the granting of forest concession permits, technology campaign in 1,950, then switch to the largest scale of logging and activities such as mining in 1,970%, and I think it's very case the rate of extinction rate especially in this is 10 to 3. And we know that Kayan Sembangkung Delta is an area with high biodiversity and natural resources. The delta has a varied type of ecosystem with huge fish and mangrove. And for information all of you, this condition makes the sea in this area quite unique since it receives the material from the sea and from the river and mineral soil. So it's not completely to discuss about biodiversity in Indonesia dan juga sama Borneo as Indonesia natural biodiversity as a concept before after Papua. According to McKinnon 2000, the water of Kalimantan has 394 species have been found getting added in the river, lake, and deep swamp water, and about 150 species are endemic. And in this year, our team still looking for the updated data and try to get other species, especially in fish, hydrological units. We establish that two species in P unit have unique character based on their ecosystem. The species that we collected will be used to address the risk of extinction.
Excuse me, Pariki. Louder, please. We cannot hear your voice clearly.
Hello, can you hear my voice?
Okay. Maybe you can check again your microphone, Pak Ricky.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Can anybody hear my voice?
Louder, please, Pak.
Okay. Check. 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 Can you hear my voice? Follow?
Okay, but it's like far your voice.
Okay.
Okay.
My device is very send update. So okay. We will continue. Hello. Okay, hello.
Yes. Okay.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
Pak Riki, you can continue, Pak.
Okay. And this year, our team still looking for the updated data and try to get other species, especially in fish, hydrological unit, that fish species in fish, hydrological unit have unique character based on their ecosystem. The species that we collected will be used to assess the risk of extinction to the species. So, our research will conducting in the fish unit of the Nort, Kalimantan, and focus in two locations. First in Tanah Tidung, especially in Babat and Sidilai village, and the second in Nunukan, especially in the Atas village, Sembangkung state. We established research from March until June 2020. Nunukan and Tanah Tidung represent hydrological unit in the north of Kalimantan, and we're looking to the fish species in the stream, swam, in the pit, and especially in the aquaculture Sembangkung. The sample consisting in flooded stream. In Sembangkung, so we found flooded stream like as a part of Sembangkung River, and people in Sembangkung say it's a lebak atau dan banjiran in Indonesia. Okay. During the sampling, we found 10 family. We found 10 family members included in person bathroom, second in village. As you can see, this slide. Unit become the largest family found in Tanah Tidung, and in the study, we found 35.3% of it from the Tidung family, were the most commonly found during the sampling period. It means that the unit is the most large population from the in Kalimantan besides captive. I think captive is most the largest species now. And if we don't get into the number of species that we collected, we found 17 species in Tanah Tidung range, and Tanah Tidung as you can see in slide. If we talk about large number of species that was collected during sampling, came from species specialty or hard river bark, yes. From 15 family members, almost 36% from the total species. Common species that was found in the second from data. I think data is while the data is a unique species in Tanah Tidung. And if you see the figure, hard river bark, the type is consumption that for people in Tanah Tidung, you have to live in a river with forest, the soil, and it's around upstream river. We try, until now, we try to get hard river bark net and the land atau range atau kalian from people in Tanah Tidung. The second update in Tanah Tidung came from database, as I said before. For database, and then we still do more identification, more tools, more species to make sure the species. I think we get different species than database in database. Database that we collected from Tanah Tidung found in the river flow
uploaded plan, and the distribution, I don't know, we found in Southeast Asia, including the North Kalimantan, Indonesia, we found in Sabah, Malaysia, and Sarawak, Malaysia, and for our information, it says that the species is vulnerable species. Okay, we send the next slide. For our information, 7 species were found consisting 3 native species from Kalimantan and 2 native species and 1 species migration. This represent native species that was collected during sampling period. The first native species from Siprinid, family Siprinid, ikan seluang, our Myanmar species in Indonesia we call seluang parang. This species is actually found in habitat sites of Pacific Flow River, pond, flooded lake, and swamp. This is can naturally in groups of colony and in the surface of water. And the second native species in Tanah we found various planetet. I think planetet is most species in Tanah Tidung. We found captive with yellow spot in the body. Planetet. Planetet has a characteristic K, is a yellow spot. And the last native species we found beta. This is species based on Asian resistance to vulnerable in the ecosystem. If we try to stop this species, this is going to river flow the stream when buying species. I think it's a very interesting species. And next we found migrating species. Yeah, we found sniper or Indonesian people say parang. Yeah, if you're looking sniper species, because in Indonesia, but if you're looking species based on their ecology, we found sniper or baramundi 270 kilometers from estuary. 270 kilometers from estuary. The migration for nutrient, reproduction, and spawning. Migration species, and it is other species that we found in fishland from Tanah Tidung. We found invasive species like tilapia and other species like subsurface settlers, which are landed activities or competing. And this is like in Tanah Tidung, in Tanah Village, Sembangkung, we collected solar panel during camping time, and this is the slide. Yeah, slide. Okay. We found certain species from the total sample. All the sample found in peatland, Sembangkung River, and the stream. In early slide, in I said, the stream is all about. Other people Sembangkung say it's very diverse. You try to visit Sembangkung stream, yeah. So Sembangkung, you see the stream at the top of Sembangkung River. And if you see the video, yeah. This is the video that was collected like keeping brand or Itchyofauna species, which is another species that we found in Sembangkung. We found Borneo Hill, Amira Borneo, and we found Pineal, yeah, Master Embedded Pineal, and we found Marble Gobi, the Red Morata, and we found Walagu. Walagu is endemic from Malaysia, and some fishermen in Sembangkung say that species was mostly in demand and had price, especially for marble gobi. But however, it is constantly captured by ignoring by this aspect, having the species population tend to reduce in the ecosystem.
Okay, Pariki, you still have 2 more minutes, Pariki.
Okay, thank you. And so we talk on the This is a kind of fish that we collected from the Sembangkung, and the most important thing, if you look at the right side on the top of the slide, you find Walago fish, the yellow one. Walago fish is endemic from Sabah based on the best data, and during sampling period we found this species in Sembangkung River. So I think Sembangkung River is the middle of the atap in Sembangkung River is the middle of the Sembangkung River. Then the existence of position of atap village in the middle of Sembangkung River makes the area migration growth of various types of fish, both from the upper Maskalong village and Malaysia border from the estuary. Okay, this is our team, and thank you so much. I leave that for thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ricky Febrinaldi Simanjuntak, SPD MSI, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, for our last speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Stanislav Lota, MSc PhD, to deliver his presentation. And let me read his CV. Mr. Stanislav Lota, MSc PhD, was born in Teplice, Czech Republic, 15 December 1974. He's from Czech University of Life Sciences Prague. Education, BSc and MSc from Charles University Prague, PhD from University of South Bohemia. His scientific interests are primatology, ecology, ethology, and conservation. His latest publication was long-term population and distribution dynamics of an endangered Irrawaddy dolphin population in Balikpapan Bay, Indonesia, in response to coastal development. Frontiers in Marine Science 7, Article 533197. And today, he will present about proboscis monkeys in Kalimantan, Indonesia. Well, Mr. Stanislav Lota, MSc PhD, please present your article.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Perfect. Thank you. So let me share my screen first. Okay, so now everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So good morning. Thank you for the invitation. This seminar is on fish, but the fish share their habitat with other threatened species, including those that live above the water in the flooded forest. Protecting one component of the ecosystem can directly or indirectly help protecting the other components. So the conservation of primates such as proboscis monkeys that live in the flooded forest is not unrelated to fish conservation. Proboscis monkeys are endemic to Borneo Islands, and most of them live in the Indonesian part of Borneo in Kalimantan. But Kalimantan is huge, and most of the proboscis monkey populations were not yet properly surveyed. Some of them may be overestimated in size. This is Sembangkung, the largest protected peat forest in Borneo, some 5,700 square kilometers of peat swamp. In 1980s, peat swamps were considered a prime proboscis monkey habitat, and this should then be a stronghold for proboscis monkeys. But we know that it isn't. The monkeys are mainly found along a major river that forms eastern boundary of the park, and there are none in the vast peat swamps in the interior of national park. This is another example, a Nipa swamp, which which is one of the major mangrove formations found in large river deltas, such as Mahakam River Delta. This is like 5,700 square kilometers of habitat. Again, we should expect many proboscis monkeys living here, but some of the recent estimates just speak about 200 to 600 monkeys. This is not only because a major part of delta has been converted into shrimp and fish farms that do not support primates, but even the remaining natural habitat of Mahakam Delta hosts a relatively low density population of proboscis monkeys, including the best known Rhizophora forest formation. Most proboscis monkeys in Mahakam Delta are actually concentrated here. The river starts branching, the water is still brackish, and the mangrove diversity is relatively high. Here we have Kayan Sembangkung, the area we are talking about today. It's the largest remaining habitat of proboscis monkeys in the world. But again, much of it is either converted to aquaculture, shrimp and fish farms, or covered with nipa formations. And we don't know how many proboscis monkeys actually live in this vast area of habitat. On the other hand, there may be some relatively small areas which may host surprisingly big proboscis monkey population. This is Balikpapan Bay, the area that I work. Balikpapan Bay has only about 170 square kilometers of mangroves. That's just about 10% of the Mahakam Delta. But the mangrove is a part of the forest mosaic. So here along the coast we have the mangroves, but next to it there is a dipterocarp forest, mainly secondary, but continuous forest. And then maybe that is what the proboscis monkeys actually need, a mosaic of habitat that is composed of the flooded and non-flooded forest. Based on this relatively small extent of mangroves in Balikpapan Bay, the population used to be estimated at something like 500 animals. But then we first surveyed the population in 2007. We found many more of the monkeys. The first estimate was 1,400 individuals, but with the improving census methods, we know that there are even more of them, more than 3,000 monkeys living in this relatively small area. That makes Balikpapan Bay one of the 7 known populations of more than 1,000, and perhaps 5% or more of the total known population. But it's important to stress the word known, because there are probably many more population with that inhabits a small area of flooded forest, but live in a high density and maybe quite big in size. So we can say that there may be fewer proboscis monkeys than we thought in some of the most extensive swamp areas, including the peat swamps inland, Kalimantan, and nipa swamps in large river deltas. But on the other hand, there may be quite big population that lives in a restricted small area habitats such as Balikpapan Bay. And I actually believe that there are many more populations that have been underestimated in size. That means that there are more proboscis monkeys than we believed. Before, in past 3 decades, the population size was estimated to something like 20. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, so the population size has been at some 20 to 25,000. Now we think that there are twice or 3 times more of them. The question is whether this is many or few, because the estimate is about the same as the estimate of Bornean orangutan that is considered to be critically endangered. So in conclusion to this part of my talk, we can say that there are probably many small range isolated populations that are actually more numerous than we thought. And on the other hand, some of the populations that inhabit extensive areas of swamps may be smaller and less continuous than we thought. And that means that the whole population of the species is probably much more fragmented than we thought before. And protecting these many scattered populations is going to be a very hard job. At the same time, it's likely that the population of the proboscis monkeys is declining much faster than we thought, because many of these small range, high density populations are disappearing even before we were able to appreciate their size and importance. When we arrive to Kalimantan, we may feel that proboscis monkeys are quite common, because we can see them even in big cities like Banjarmasin, Balikpapan, or Tarakan. But that's actually their damnation, because this is where they live and not much elsewhere. When we continue, when we travel to the vast forest in the inland in Borneo's interior, we would see orangutans, gibbons, macaques, langurs, but not many proboscis monkeys. The distribution of proboscis monkeys is very much restricted to the areas of high human density and high human economic activities. There is a big competition between our species and proboscis monkeys, and we can say that the riverside and coastal forests are currently the fastest disappearing vegetation formation in Balikpapan. That makes proboscis monkeys probably the fastest disappearing primate in Kalimantan, and one of the fastest disappearing mammals. And if we only consider the rate of decline, then we should classify the proboscis monkeys as a critically endangered species. And that's going to be worse, because now Indonesia has a new spatial plan which does not support proboscis monkey conservation. This is how Balikpapan Bay should look like in next 20 years. The gray area on the map is the proposed new industrial development. And it happens exactly where the proboscis monkeys live, along the coast. Now, how will the monkeys deal with the new change? We have been monitoring the proboscis monkey population in Balikpapan Bay for 10 years. The monkeys have a habit of returning to sleeping trees along the river banks every evening, so we can relatively easily count them from boats. And we have also been monitoring the changes of habitat during the same period of 10 years. These were the two major threats to proboscis monkey habitat 10 years ago. In the mangroves, the main problem was shrimp and milkfish farming that destroyed hundreds of hectares of mangrove forest. And in the adjoining terrestrial forest, the major problem has been forest fires that occur regularly since 1980s. Based on these data on population and habitat change, a Canadian student, Danica Stark, made a vortex model of the future population development. She modeled 3 populations. Balikpapan Bay is here in the middle. And you can see that the population behaves very unstable. It's steadily declining throughout the 50 years of the scenario. And there is a risk of extinction in the meantime of 44 years. But besides the theoretical model, we also have the empirical data, because we were actually counting the monkeys during these 10 years. Here, the blue bars show the numbers of groups in individual river systems in Balikpapan Bay in 2007. Here you have the results of the new second survey in 2012 by the British student Cat Scott. You can see that the numbers of groups in river systems differ, but that's because the river systems are not isolated, and the proboscis monkeys have huge home ranges. They are not territorial and can move between rivers. But the total number of groups remains almost unchanged. There is no population decline as has been predicted by the model. At the same time, we have been monitoring the habitat, and the situation changed. I mentioned that the main problem in mangroves was mangrove conversion to aquaculture, but that's not happening anymore. Most shrimp and fish farms have been unsuccessful in Balikpapan Bay. They have been abandoned. Now they are regrown with the mangrove forest. At the same time, the forest fires got under control. There is now trained team of fire patrol operating around the Sungai Wine Protection Forest that also help to protect the coastal forests. And for 16 years, there have been no major fire that got under control. We are also monitoring the predicted population development in case we get these two factors, the mangrove loss and forest fires, under control. And you can actually see that the model predicts relatively stable population, the low or minimal population decline, as long as we control the mangrove loss and forest fires. But then in 2015, we had another minor El Nino, and even though there have been many preventive measures, at the end the forest started burning, and we lost about 20 square kilometers of primate habitat in Balikpapan Bay. This is just one of several fire spots. So now, if the model was true, the population should start steeply declining. We replicated the survey again, and the results of this third survey after the forest fire should have important conservation implications. If our model was right, then the population should now dramatically decline. And that would mean that the conservation priority should be protecting the remaining undisturbed, unburned forest, which represents a crucial habitat for proboscis monkeys. Or the model was wrong. We overestimated sensitivity of the proboscis monkey population to forest fires or other forest disturbance, and the population would remain stable even after the fires. That would mean that the secondary forest that has been disturbed by fire or by other human activities actually remain an important habitat for the proboscis monkeys and should be preserved and should be allowed to regenerate. And actually, the second scenario was the one which was supported by the data. The population remains stable even after the fire. So even the secondary forest is an important proboscis monkeys habitat. And the nutritional study by botanist Tomáš Koubek aimed to evaluate the importance of this secondary forest for the proboscis monkey conservation. We have collected samples of young leaves and other parts of most of the coastal plants that serve as a potential food for proboscis monkeys, and we sent them to Bogor for nutritional analysis. This is the first glance at the data set, the structure of principal components. The upper right corner of the graph is good for proboscis monkeys. The arrow Bekantan shows the observed feeding preferences. And they correlate with high phosphorus, high crude protein, and high protein to fiber ratios. They also correspond to young leaves and plant species that grow in brackish waters and in terrestrial forests that are associated with mangroves, not true mangrove species. The botanists and ecologists divide tropical coastal plants into major groups. One is true mangroves, the plants that are adapted to living in the intertidal zone and cannot be found elsewhere. And then we have mangrove associate species that live just along the upper tidal line and in many other ecosystems. And they are actually typically secondary forest species. There are two major chemical components that differentiate between the two groups of plants, crude protein and salt. Salt is not surprising because true mangroves live in salt water and they are expected to contain more salt. But then we also have the crude protein. The true mangrove species have actually much less protein in their young leaves compared to the plants that are only associated with mangroves. And here we can see that as in many other colobines, or in all other colobines, the ratio to protein to fiber is a major indicator of what the proboscis monkeys eat and what they don't eat. We get very similar results if we compare different zones of the coastal forest rather than different species of plants. Again, as expected, salt is related to the salinity of the water. It's highest in the seaward fringe of mangroves, and it decreases as we move inland. First into the extensive zone of mangrove forest, and then towards the brackish mangroves along upstream the major rivers, and to back mangroves close to the dryland. And not surprisingly, the salt is lowest in the terrestrial forest. But the terrestrial forest is also best in terms of protein. In contrary, the least favorable protein to fiber ratio is observed in the rhizophora zone of mangroves, which represents about 90% of the mangrove forest of Balikpapan Bay. So in general, we can say that most of the mangroves provides very poor food for proboscis monkeys, high in salt and low in protein. The back mangroves close to the dryland is a bit better, but not much better. And the situation only improves as we move to the brackish zone upstream the major rivers, but also to the seaward fringe of the mangroves. It may be surprising that we can find favorable food resources in these two very different zones of mangroves in terms of salinity and vegetation compositions. But indeed, these two zones have one thing in common, and that's Pidada, the Soneratia tree. There is Soneratia alba in the seaward fringe of the mangroves, and Soneratia caseolaris in the brackish zone upstream the major rivers. And these trees, Soneratia trees, actually represent the major food resource of proboscis monkeys in these two mangrove zones. But that makes them highly vulnerable. In recent years, we have observed a mass mortality of Soneratia trees in the southern part of Balikpapan Bay. It happens everywhere where the mangroves have been, where the terrestrial forest next to the mangroves have been sacrificed to industrial or housing development. In past, these terrestrial forests probably provided a variety of food for the proboscis monkeys, but now the monkeys are trapped in the mangroves and they cannot eat much more else than the Soneratia leaves. The monkeys seems to prosper still, but not the trees. They are visited regularly by the monkeys. They lose most of their leaves, and without time to regenerate, the trees are dying. That has already been observed in Pulau Kaget Nature Reserve, close to close to Banjarmasin in South Kalimantan, where also the proboscis monkey habitat shrunk mainly due to rice field development. The population of the monkeys increased many times to the point then the Soneratia trees started suffering from overfeeding and they were dying. Consequently, the monkeys are starting dying as well of hunger. And in just 3 years, the population collapsed by 90%. This is something what we need to avoid in places like Balikpapan Bay and in many other locations where the coastal and riverside forests are being sacrificed to human development. I believe that these forests need to be conserved not only because of the monkeys, they do need to be conserved in terms of keeping the aquatic ecosystem healthy. But the situation I'm describing may be a kind of indicator that something is going wrong, and at the end, the production of the rivers may suffer as well. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stanislav Lota, MSc PhD, for giving us such an informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the question and answer session. And I'd like to have 3 questions from the participants. You can press raise hand icon and the committee will turn on your microphone and you can give your question to our speakers. You can also ask your question in chat room and the committee will note it. And we have 30 minutes for question and answer session. And I also want to remind you that e-certificate link will be given at the end of this seminar in the chat room. Okay, co-host, please open the microphone for the participants who want to ask the question.
Hello, I have question.
Yes?
Yeah.
Ibu Handayani.
Yeah.
Okay, Bu Handayani, please.
Okay, thank you. Your time. I have question to the last presenter, Pak Lota. Good morning, Pak Lota.
Good morning.
Yeah, I appreciate your research calculation about the proboscis monkey. And you know, you already got the biggest population in Indonesia is in Kalimantan, especially North Kalimantan, right?
Yes, at least in terms of habitat extent, because we still don't know the numbers of monkeys in North Kalimantan, but in terms of the size of the habitat, the largest area where the proboscis monkeys live is in North Kalimantan.
Yeah. So what my question is, based on your research, based on your found, what's the considered factors to influence the population for their life, their habitat? Because you know, the proboscis monkeys in Indonesia vulnerable to decreasing, I think, right?
Yeah. I do think that the most important thing for preserving proboscis monkeys is protecting the terrestrial forest that surrounds the flooded forest. I think one of the major mistakes in proboscis monkey conservation is that people think that if we protect mangroves, we will protect the monkeys, because mangroves are the habitat of proboscis monkeys. But that's not true. Mangroves are only a part of their habitat. And if we only protect mangroves and destroy the forest that surrounds them on the dry land, we would deprive the monkeys of most of their food resources. So it's crucial to protect the whole ecosystem with all the components, starting from the flooded forest to the buffer zone inland, so that the food resources are complete. And I think this is not only for proboscis monkeys, that's probably true for a lot of other fauna, including birds and other species, that once we isolate the mangrove ecosystem from the remaining forests, the diversity of the fauna would steeply decrease, because there would be not enough food resources left for the monkeys. We still don't know what will be impact on the aquatic part of the mangrove ecosystem, what will happen if we destroy what is above the water, how it will impact the life under the water, but I do think there will be the impact. So I think the important thing, the most important thing is...
it means that the ecosystem, I mean mangrove ecosystem, is important to their life, right?
And so, not only the mangrove ecosystem, the surrounding forest. The mangroves is not enough.
Yeah. Okay, I would like to continue about another presenter, Bapak Wiratno, related with the mangrove vegetation. Thank you, Pak Lota. You already discussed to me. Pak Wiratno, I have question. Not only Ministry of Fishery and Forestry has job in mangrove area, but also Department of Forest, Department of Fisheries has job in the mangrove area. My question is, what's the previous strategies and rule and also job area your ministry without left social and economic aspect?
Okay, Pak Wiratno, clear the question, Pak Wiratno? Hello, Pak Wiratno, still in Zoom room? Okay, maybe we can continue with the next participant until we can communicate with Pak Wiratno, ya Bu?
Yeah.
Okay, next, for the next participant, please raise up your hand and ask to our speakers today. And the committee will turn on your microphone. Or maybe you can, okay, Darius Rupa. Okay, the committee, please turn on microphone. Pak Darius Rupa, okay. Can you hear me, Pak Darius?
Yes.
Okay, now it's time to ask the question. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for Ms. Moro as the moderator, and now I want a question for Mr. Happy Ilmo. Yes, because this is I want curious about what the biodiversity in North Kalimantan, and I am very interested in getting information from Mr. Happy Romo, and this new information for me, and very much abundant biodiversity in North Kalimantan, such as the crustaceous family. How many species, maybe a native species from North Kalimantan? Yes. For example, Mr. Ricky have the presentation about the native, what are the native fish from the Sembangkung, right? And maybe any information, the new information about the native crustacea family, And the next questions for Mr. Happy Romo and Harpodonereus. Harpodonereus is one of what I'm curious because Harpodonereus is not all found in Indonesia. Yes, so this endemic is the what it's not all the it's not all a place in Indonesia. So it's one of the most abundant in North Kalimantan, but it's made into thin fish for consumption. Is the fish included in government protection? And what is the level catch rate? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Darius. It's time for Pak Happy. Yeah, Pak Happy, can you hear the question clearly, Pak Happy?
Yes, I'm here, but I will be answer with Indonesian language. Because if I English language, maybe it need a long time to think how to answer that question. Okay?
Yeah.
Baik, satu aja tadi. Dari Mas siapa nih? Serius. Baik, tadi pertanyaan mengenai beberapa spesies krustase ya, nggak salah ya?
Yes.
Ya, krustase.
Maybe the species native from the North Kalimantan.
Okay.
Original species
Yes.
from Sembangkung, Pak.
Sorry. Dari riset kami itu memperoleh ada 28 spesies krustase di daerah asosiasi mangrove ya, asosiasi mangrove. Cuman kalau yang ekonomis yang kita kenal dengan krustase Scyllacerata, spesialisasi yang di daerah Kaltara itu cenderungnya ke Scyllacerata, bukan Scyllacerata yang lain. Nah, ini endemik di daerah Kalimantan Utara sampai Malaysia di sana, ya sampai di utara. Tempat lain ada, cuman bukan Scyllacerata. Itu mungkin yang pertama. Kemudian untuk spesies krustase yang lain, saya kira untuk spesies yang krustase atau jenis kepiting yang non ekonomis banyak dan itu ternyata bukan endemik ya, di tempat yang lain juga terdapat spesies yang itu kepiting-kepiting yang seperti capitnya besar begitu ya. Nah ini banyak terdapat di hutan mangrove yang lain. Jadi yang endemik hanya spesial endemik belum terlihat di sana untuk yang krustase. Rata-rata ada tempat lain, hanya dominannya ada gitu. Kalau Scyllacerata yang dominan. Begitu. Kemudian ikan nome juga ya. Ikan nome itu juga. Kalau ikan nome memang tidak semua perairan tuh ada ikan tersebut. Ada beberapa perairan yang memiliki komoditi ikan nome gitu ya. Nah, memang saat ini pemanfaatannya sebagai konsumsi atau hasil penangkapannya memang sangat tinggi. Beberapa riset telah membuktikan dan memberikan data penangkapan ikan nome ini sudah termasuk besar gitu ya. Dan juga memang belum ada riset tentang budidaya ikan nome. Ya, belum arah ke sana, belum ada pengembangan ikan nome, sehingga kalau memang dibiarkan terus jelas secara ekologi akan mengganggu populasi dari ikan nome tersebut gitu. Nah, kebijakan dari pemerintah juga belum ada untuk melindungi ikan nome ini supaya diberlakukan penangkapan secara berkala gitu. Begitu mungkin dari kami.
Okay. Pak Darius? Enough?
Okay, enough.
Okay.
It's clear, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Darius. Thank you, Pak Happy, for the answer. And next participant, please raise up your hand. Okay, the committee will turn on your microphone and you can mention your name and also where you come from, and also the question will be given to who, yeah? Okay. Muhammad Nur, the committee, please turn on the microphone. The participants, Muhammad Nur, want to ask questions to our speakers today.
Yes, thank you everyone. So this is for all panelists actually. I just want to ask whether you find sawfish in the area that you are doing the research, and also for Mr. Lota, I just recently went to fishing very close to Muara Bulungan. I saw a very small group of bekantan in the small island called Lemangwa Island, and it is very close to the tambak. So I think it's very important for local government to see this asset for research area or tourism, something like that. So what is your plan to ensure that all these findings about the, in your finding in the Sembangkung area or about the bekantan for local government, something like that. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Lota, clear the question?
Oh, I think this is actually an opportunity for University of Borneo because we still have very little information about the distribution of proboscis monkeys in a number of proboscis monkeys in North Kalimantan. And at this moment, it's very difficult to give a kind of recommendation of where and how to protect them. It's quite important that the area is surveyed, which would be a huge amount of work because it's an expensive area. But I believe this is actually a great opportunity for the University of Borneo to send students to the field to survey the coastal forests, because only then, after we actually know where the monkeys live and what are the threats, only when we can do recommendations to the government.
Okay, that's it, Mr. Lota?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Okay, well, next we will move to the question from the chat room, yeah? The committee can share the question from the chat room. Okay. Okay, we have question to Pak Happy and Pak Riki Febrinaldi. How did you classify the fishes into native, endemic, and invasive species? Okay, Pak Riki, monitor, or Pak Happy?
Okay, well, so, my voice.
Okay, Pak Riki, maybe you want to answer this question, or Pak Happy?
Okay. I go first. Concerning how to classify the species in native, endemic, and invasive species. We can classify the species to categories, native category and invasive based on the research already on the database in the world, and many events that we collected from the Arizona. For example, Claria funds that we found in the KTP, Kabupaten Tanah University, and donor species based on trophy from National University of Singapore, and qualities that we collected from the Sembangkung, native species and endemic species from the Sabah, from fish base that we classify the species, and for invasive species like tilapia, and we know tilapia is potential pest from human and from the pond, and fish base classify the tilapia into the invasive species. Maybe enough problems for Marian.
That's all, Pak?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that we already done with 30 minutes, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of this seminar. I'd like to thank the speakers for informative and interesting presentation, and all the participants for active participation. Finally, give applause for the speakers today and for you all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to MC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Woro Kusmaryani. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps our seminar today. And on behalf of Universitas Borneo Tarakan, Research and Community Service Center, Universitas Borneo Tarakan, Center for Biodiversity and Environmental Study, Universitas Borneo Tarakan, GIZ, Associations of Indonesian Professors, we thank you all for making time in your busy schedules to join us here today. Well, this is our first seminar out of 4 series that we planned, and hopefully we can meet again in the next series to share and discuss other topics. It's been our pleasure to host this seminar, and for the e-certificate link, it will be soon shared in the chat room, and it will be automatically sent to your email, and don't forget to click it. My name is Azlina, your host today, sign out, and I wish you all a pleasant day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Eli, apa kabar?
Alhamdulillah baik, Prof. Iwan.
Salam Banjarmasin.
Siap. Mana Prof. Jabar, mana?
Iya, mana berada itu?
Silakan Bapak Ibu yang ingin berbicara atau ngobrol-ngobrol di Zoom ini sambil menunggu link e-sertifikat ya Bapak Ibu ya.
Salam sehat, Prof. Iwan.
Terima kasih. Iya. Pak Firdaus, apa kabar?
Alhamdulillah, Prof.
Amin. Iya.
Mari semua, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Saya juga pamit ya, moderator. Bapak Ibu semua, terima kasih atas undangannya.
Terima kasih, Pak Iwan.
Ya, sama-sama.
Terima kasih, Prof. Iwan.
Sama-sama, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Untuk panitianya, link e-sertifikatnya sudah bisa di-share.
Panitia, apakah PPT-nya bisa di-share ya? Bisakah? Atau gimana caranya?
Oke, untuk materi nanti akan di-share juga linknya, Pak.
Oke, thank you.
new update, certificate link based on attendance already filled previously, ya. So, Bapak Ibu, you can fill the attendance link in the chat room, and your certificate will be automatically sent to your email.